Welcome back to People's Daily Dialogue. I'm Miao Wanyi. In our special coverage of China's two sessions, we have looked at various topics. As this year's two sessions is coming to an end, we want to wrap up our special coverage and take a peek at the future of China's development. Today, we're honored to have our studio at Peking University to sit down with Professor Zha Daojiong with the School of International Studies. Hello, Professor. Welcome. And thank you for joining us today.
My pleasure.
New energy vehicle has become a new buzzword in this year's government work report. It is also a popular topic on our platform, and netizens see it as a major sign of progress in China's reform and opening up efforts. As an expert in the field of energy, how do you evaluate the achievements of the reform and opening up in energy? And what experiences can be promoted to the world?
Here in China, the tangible achievements are in electric vehicles. This begins with simple tools as mopeds or the scooters to passenger cars and even to some trucks. Now, if there is a lesson China can be sharing with the rest of the world, I would think it has two key components. One is that it's the government's job, including through spending public money and sometimes some subsidies, to put the basic infrastructure in place. And with this basic infrastructure, such as the recharging stations, big and small, and if you go around Beijing or many small towns, you will see many of these recharging stations for the mopeds, very portable ones, and the government has to make that available. And second is that it was China actually that invested in the basic research to bring down the cost of the battery production. We're still continuing to find new forms of batteries, and the intensity, safety still can be improved. But the good news is that if you look at the past several years of the growth of the electric vehicles in China, we already have a good mess. So it's about time for Chinese companies to try to export their products and their services globally on scale. So that's a major achievement in terms of helping different economies to be less dependent on diesel and on crude oil, and then also at the same time you can have cleaner consumption when you still can enjoy the benefits of road transportation.
Like hydrogen?
Well, hydrogen is another form of a vehicle, but what's called a new energy vehicle. The most challenging part of the hydrogen car is not the production of hydrogen, it's the making of the tank to hold the hydrogen. Otherwise, you don't get the mileage, or sometimes it can even be dangerous because of the compression.
This April, China will host the second Belt and Road Forum for International Cooperation in Beijing. You have previously put forward an interesting point, saying that the Belt and Road Initiative can promote energy conservation and emission reduction, as well as respond to future climate change. Please elaborate on the public welfare of Belt and Road Initiative. How do you view the future development of the initiative?
All right. Well, the whole idea of a One Belt, One Road as a initiative that invites different parties to participate and to actually compete in both the conceptualization of projects and then also finding effective means for implementing these ideas around the world. So the whole idea that the One Belt, One Road, one of the things we have to bear in mind that it's not something that's to be owned by any one particular party, whether it's China or someone else. Like many other projects around the world, different parties share the same the different parties share the responsibilities for making it work. What comes together are commonly accepted business rules. So you don't have an imposition of either an imposition or an exchange, trade-off of doing business in exchange for political or diplomatic favors. So in that sense, it's a public good in the sense that, frankly speaking, you give these different entities the freedom to choose. You can choose to be part of the initiative, you can choose not to. We don't have a built-in sanctions mechanism against that. Now, in terms of the Belt and Road and dealing with conservation or environmental protection, this initiative is one of the many ideas that's in place in the evolution of the world economy. But if there is a Chinese element to this, is that this initiative helps a society, helps an economy to pursue the trajectory of urbanization, to industrialize. And this does mean getting more and more people out of sheer poverty and getting more and more people away from having to depend on the net supplies from nature. And that would be a very effective way of dealing with the ecological destructions, because after all, it's the low tech, it's the human desperation for survival that on a daily basis destroys a good part of the ecology.
On March 11th, Li Ganjie, Minister of Ecology and Environment, spoke to reporters about the overall progress in China's battle against pollution. In terms of energy, how can China win this battle?
Dealing with air pollution and other aspects of the environment, we have had some success. If you look at the 2+26 program that try to have Beijing and Tianjin and the 26 smaller cities around to move in tandem, there is some controversy. Some complain that a few localities are not ready, and some complain this is too expensive. But something needs to be done. You can, for those of us who experience living in the large cities here, Beijing and Tianjin, the past 2 to 3 years, the weather is slowly getting better. But there is a huge issue here is the cost issue. Consumers have to bear some cost. Or if you don't pay for cleaner forms of energy, then you pay a higher for your health treatment, you pay higher to clean up the environment. And then companies will also be prepared to pay for installing a more energy efficient and less polluting equipment and technologies. And sometimes we forget that everything comes with a cost. It's not fair to just pointing the finger at a government agency, especially the Environmental Protection Agency, for quote unquote not having done enough. Frankly speaking, earlier we talked about foreign direct investment into China. FDI companies in China also need to do their share. Historically, there is this phenomenon of, it's a debatable notion, but nevertheless, there is that awareness of some of these international companies that treat developing countries as a pollution haven, and that should not happen either. We need to find law. We need to strictly enforce our laws, regardless of the companies being domestic or foreign. So that's an important point to bear in mind.
Thank you again for sharing with us your insights, Professor. And thank you everyone for watching the show. As President Xi Jinping said in his New Year speech, China, as a country on the move, is energetically pursuing prosperity. This energy is fully on display at this year's 2 sessions, too. While the meetings are about to draw to an end, the pursuit of prosperity in the new year has just begun. This is People's Daily Dialogue. Stay tuned for more in-depth coverage of China.